Good afternoon. One of the main reasons I'm running for governor of Florida is because we need a progressive thinker. We need someone who wants what that progressive thought process to look like is a large think tank, meaning I'm asking for multiple people, a majority, to consistently weigh in on any of these progressive ideas and be able to provide such the amount of feedback that we can do what is going to be seemingly the best for the majority of people. Now, in 1971, America removed itself from the gold standard. And now we are on what is considered the fiat currency system, FIAT. What this simply means is we are no longer backed by a physical object, but more the commodity that the individuals bring to the system. There are times where we need to legislate and reform that legislation because it may not be working as it is intended. And a lot of times that has gotten to a place where it only works for a few, but not the majority. One good example of this is the privatized prison system. The privatized prison system, it has food services in its control. It, supports, I'm going to use the word support. It supports food services, healthcare services, as well as real estate and construction areas, right? Now, by the 13th Amendment, if you are imprisoned, you can be used as forced labor. And there are no labor laws. That's an argument that is being had consistently in court environments, is that, hey, you are using us in the public sector, but under private guidance. That needs to be reformed because it is not a circulatory help. And what I mean by circulatory, you've heard that the way to keep money is to figure out how to make that money circulate back into your economy. When you privatize this, you lessen how much of that circulates back into the economy, but moreover, how much goes into that private sector only. So if I build a factory and I can put indentured servants or individuals who are imprisoned in that workforce, that takes away jobs from the non-imprisoned persons. Do you understand why it can be an issue with the way we are structured today? So the more privatized prisons get filled, they are now able to use that persons or personnel to work in a system for the economy that doesn't put money back in the economy, that is based on citizens putting money back into our system. As a governor, I have to speak to that, to make sure that the people of Florida understand that if we don't have currently under the fiat currency system enough individuals in the workforce, it hurts us economically because it becomes too much take and not enough give back. This is the push and pull that we see in politics when it comes to finances and taxes. If you privatize too many sectors, if you allow capitalism to go unregulated for too long, when we know the data is showing that it is hurting the majority, and you can see it across multiple sectors, when you know it's hurting, you need to regulate it. Now, again, you have to understand, everyone who opens a business is privatized to a certain extent, and they are taxed to a certain extent. But the ideal of going to the fiat system was so that the majority could circulate money back into the economy, not into singular individuals' pockets that make up the minority. This is where we need legislation that is particular to reformation. This is where that conversation comes in. Now, this will really ruffle feathers. You have to really consider that, hey, my company is not helping because it is not circulating money back into the fiat system, and why the fiat system was created and what it was supposed to do. Another example of that is Social Security. I encourage y'all to look up Ida Mae Fuller. Help me out here because I'm going to paraphrase this. Ida Mae Fuller was the first person to get a Social Security check. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I believe she put in about $85. And she got thousands of dollars back. She put in $85 into the system, but only got thousands of dollars back. I didn't go back and look this up. I just remember because I looked it up sometime last year or a little bit before that. But I never forgot it. Because when that happened, economics, those individuals who just sit around and understand the numbers game of how the economy works, they realized that Social Security was going to be an issue. Because if you can put in $85 into the system and you can get back thousands of dollars before Ida Mae Fuller passed away, then they knew it was a problem. And we have to you cannot forget, Florida is considered to be a state where people come to retire. That's the way I thought about it. It's like, oh man, I would love to go retire in Florida. It's a great retirement area. Now listen to this. Under the fiat currency system, if you don't have individuals working, this means that they're not paying taxes because if you're over the age of 65, and again, if the death rate is around like 75 to 77, I believe is when we're supposed to die in America. You look at that number and you say, okay, how many of my population is pulling Social Security? And if I have too many individuals pulling Social Security than I have working, then I have a population problem. And I need more people to come into this state because I need workers to come in here so we can tax. Now throw in privatization, where I can have a workforce that I do not have to pay the same way I pay an individual who's not imprisoned. Because the workforce that I have to pay over here does not get even this minimum wage that hasn't changed in years from the federal level. This is what makes a lot of statements true and false at the same time. Because you can say a lot of things that make sense, but also have an adverse effect. And under the guise of not working hard for some and working hard for others, we find places to say that this is okay, when the reality is the goal is to make sure that everyone can live the best life possible. Man, that sounds great, but that is not something that is easily attainable. That's why there must be a mixture of capitalism and socialism with regulations on both sides of that coin. Understand the fiat currency system is what you need to be looking at and how that works. So when you start to hear about individuals who get up to age and are like, man, am I going to get my Social Security? We can't forget that our government borrowed against Social Security already and hasn't paid that back. Now, how do you think they're going to pay that money back? They need more people to put into Social Security. That's why that's my idea of why they haven't paid it back. They just need more people to put into it. They're hoping that we will increase the population and pay off what they borrowed. You guys have a great day.